Hello, my dear friends. I'm so glad you are here today. I want to start with a simple truth that may surprise you. The greatest threat to our health as we age is not always illness or injury. It's the small, hidden habits that slowly steal our joy without us even noticing. Have you ever found yourself eating a quick bite, standing at the counter, or leaving the TV on all day just to keep the silence away? These may feel like harmless routines, but over time they quietly build walls around us. They make our world smaller and smaller until one day we realize we are living less, not because of age, but because of these little traps. Now, I know many of you here have worked hard your whole lives, raised families, built homes, and cared for others. You deserve more than just passing the time. You deserve to live fully, with energy, dignity, and purpose. That is why today, I want to share with you 10 of the most common silent traps that older adults in America fall into, and the simple ways to break free from them. These solutions won't cost you a thing, but they can give you back years of life and happiness. Before we start, I'd love to know, where are you watching from today? Just drop your state or city in the comments below, and if you have any natural health tips of your own, feel free to share those too. Someone else might really benefit from hearing what's worked for you. Trap 1. Don't turn meals into a chore. One of the first hidden traps many older adults fall into is treating meals as just another task to get through. Maybe you've grabbed a few crackers, eaten cold leftovers straight from the fridge, or stood at the sink with a bowl of soup just to get it over with. It feels quick and harmless, but over time it sends a quiet message to your mind: I don't deserve the effort. That whisper, repeated day after day, slowly drains both your body and your spirit. I remember visiting Mr. Harris, a retired teacher who had stopped cooking after his wife passed. The kitchen felt empty to him, so he'd often eat straight from a can. One afternoon, I invited him over for something simple: a grilled cheese sandwich and warm tomato soup. After the first bite, he paused, looked down at the plate, and smiled. He said softly, "This feels like life again." That moment reminded me of how powerful a meal can be when we treat it as a gift to ourselves. The solution is not complicated. Tonight, whatever you eat, place it on a real plate. Sit down at the table. Turn off the TV. Play a little music you love. Small changes like this tell your heart you are worth the effort. Trap 2. Don't make the television your roommate. The second trap is one that sneaks in quietly, letting the television become your constant companion. There's nothing wrong with enjoying a good show, but leaving it on all day for company slowly takes something precious away. The voices and noise might fill the silence, but they don't give you real connection, purpose, or joy. Instead, the days start blending together, and you're left with the feeling of being busy without truly living. I once knew Mrs. Thompson, a kind grandmother, who told me she kept her TV on from morning until night just so the house wouldn't feel empty. Over time, she noticed she wasn't reading her favorite books anymore, wasn't calling her friends, and felt restless even while sitting still. When she finally decided to turn the TV off after her favorite evening show, she discovered the quiet wasn't as frightening as she thought. Soon, she began spending that extra time sketching and writing letters again, things that made her feel alive. My advice is simple: treat your television like a guest. Invite it in for a program you enjoy, and when it's over, let it leave. In that quiet space, you might rediscover hobbies, memories, and thoughts that truly belong to you. Trap 3. Don't let your front door become a wall. Another trap that many older adults slip into is letting the front door slowly turn into a barrier instead of a bridge. At first, it happens for understandable reasons: aching knees, bad weather, or the ease of having groceries and medicines delivered. But little by little, stepping outside feels less necessary, and before you know it, days or even weeks pass without fresh air or a simple wave to a neighbor. I remember Mr. Collins, a widower who rarely left his house after his wife passed. One spring morning, he decided to open his front door just to let in the breeze. As he stood there, the sunlight warmed his face, and a neighborhood child rode by on a bike and shouted, "Hi, Mr. Collins." He told me later that this tiny, unexpected moment lifted his heart more than anything had in months. It reminded him that he was still part of the world around him. Your door is more than wood and hinges. It's your connection to life outside. Even if you don't feel like going anywhere, open it for just 5 minutes tomorrow. Step onto your porch, breathe the air, listen to the sounds of your street. Sometimes that small act is enough to remind you, you still belong, and the world is still waiting for you. Trap 4. Don't say, "I'm too old for that." This trap is one of the most limiting and yet one of the easiest to fall into. The moment we say, "I'm too old for that," we close the door on possibilities that could bring joy, learning, and even better health. Often, those words don't come from age itself, but from fear. The fear of looking silly, of being the oldest in the room, or of failing at something new. I remember Mrs. Rivera, a 76-year-old who once told me she had always wanted to learn how to play the piano, but thought she had missed her chance. One day her granddaughter convinced her to try. At first she struggled, hitting the wrong notes and laughing at herself, but soon she was playing simple melodies, and her face would light up with pride. She told me later that this tiny, unexpected moment lifted her heart more than anything had in months. It reminded her that she was still part of the world around her. Your door is more than wood and hinges. It's your connection to life outside. Even if you don't feel like going anywhere, open it for just 5 minutes tomorrow. Step onto your porch, breathe the air, listen to the sounds of your street. Sometimes that small act is enough to remind you, you still belong, and the world is still waiting for you. Trap 5. Don't let your bedroom become your whole world. This next trap often begins so quietly that you hardly notice it. You bring a chair into the bedroom for comfort, then a small TV, maybe some snacks or books on the nightstand. Slowly, the living room gathers dust. The dining table becomes a place for mail, and before long, your entire life is happening within those 4 walls. It feels convenient, but it slowly steals both your health and your spirit. I once visited Mrs. Douglas, a retired nurse who admitted she rarely left her bedroom except to use the kitchen. She told me, "It's just easier this way." But she also confessed she was sleeping poorly and waking up stiff every morning. The reason was clear. Her brain had stopped connecting her bedroom with rest, and her body was missing the natural movement of daily life. The solution doesn't have to be overwhelming. Start with one simple rule: no meals in the bedroom, or spend at least 1 hour in another room each day. Reclaim your living room for reading, or your kitchen for morning coffee. Your home is meant to serve you in many ways, not to become a single-room cage. By spreading your life back through your home, you'll find your energy, sleep, and mood slowly coming back too. Trap 6. Don't assume routine means boredom. Many people believe that having a routine makes life dull, but the opposite is often true, especially as we grow older. Without some kind of structure, days can start to blur together, leaving us feeling adrift and without purpose. A gentle, predictable routine isn't a prison. It's an anchor that gives stability and frees your mind for the things that truly bring joy. I think of Mr. Bennett, a retired postman, who told me that after he stopped working, his days felt endless and empty. He would wake up late, skip meals, and sometimes not even know what day it was. At first, he thought he was enjoying freedom, But in reality, it left him restless and unmotivated. Then he started a small habit. Every morning, he brewed his coffee, sat by the window, and wrote one line in a little notebook about what he was grateful for that day. That one routine gave him a sense of rhythm, and the rest of his day began to feel lighter and more meaningful. Your routine doesn't have to be strict. It could be 5 minutes of stretching, listening to music while you prepare breakfast, or calling a friend every afternoon. A small anchor like this tells your mind and body a new day has begun, and I have a reason to move forward. Trap 7. Don't ignore your reflection. This trap may sound small, but it deeply affects how we feel about ourselves. It's the habit of looking in the mirror less and less, or thinking, "Who's going to see me anyway?" Over time, that thought slowly allows us to stop caring about our appearance. It's not about vanity, it's about dignity. The way we present ourselves on the outside has a direct effect on how we feel inside. I remember Mrs. Allen, a lively woman in her 70s, who used to always wear her favorite earrings and a splash of bright lipstick. After her husband passed, she stopped bothering. She told me, "It just doesn't matter anymore." But I noticed her energy faded along with her sparkle. One day, her daughter convinced her to dress up for a family dinner even though they were just eating at home. When she looked in the mirror afterward, she smiled and said, "I feel like myself again." That small act brought her confidence back. So tomorrow morning, even if you have no plans to go anywhere, take a few minutes to get ready. Comb your hair, wear something you love, maybe put on a piece of jewelry that makes you smile. When you look in the mirror, you remind yourself, "I am still here and I still matter." Trap 8. Don't become the invisible neighbor. Another trap that quietly takes hold with age is slipping into invisibility within your own neighborhood. Maybe you stop sitting on the porch, pull the car straight into the garage, or avoid casual chats with neighbors because you don't want to bother anyone. Over time, people assume you prefer to be left alone, and you assume the same about them. The result is isolation, right outside your own front door. I remember Mr. Howard, who lived just 2 houses down from me. For years, he kept to himself. None of us thought much of it until a storm knocked out the power one summer. I went to check on him with a flashlight, and he quietly said, "You're the first person to knock on my door in over a year." Imagine that, living in a community, yet feeling unseen. That moment stayed with me. The truth is, neighbors are often your first safety net. They're the ones who notice if something seems off, and they're the ones who can reach out when you need help most. The good news is that reconnecting doesn't require big effort. Start small. A wave when you collect the mail, a smile if you see someone passing by. These little signals remind both you and them you are still part of this community. Trap 9. Don't turn your home into a museum of memories. This trap is one of the hardest because it comes from love. Over time, many older adults hold on to every belonging, every photo, every piece of furniture exactly as it was, turning the home into a shrine of the past. While memories are precious, when every room feels heavy with what once was, it can stop new life and joy from entering. Instead of being a place of comfort, the home starts to feel like a museum, visited daily, but never alive. I once met Mrs. Clark, who kept her late husband's study untouched for nearly a decade. She said walking into that room made her feel close to him, but in truth, it left her grieving over and over again. One day, she decided not to erase his presence, but to gently make space for her own life. She packed some things into a memory box and placed her watercolor paints by the window where his chair once stood. She didn't let go of her history. She simply allowed room for a new chapter. You don't need to change everything at once. Start with one small step. Clear a shelf or a corner table and put something fresh there, like a plant or a new book. It's a gentle way of saying to yourself, the past is honored, but the future still belongs to me. Trap 10. Don't believe you've finished growing. The final, and perhaps most dangerous trap, is believing that your time for growth is over, that the best years are behind you, and all that's left is waiting. This quiet thought can make life feel smaller than it truly is. The truth is, your brain and spirit are built to keep learning, exploring, and growing at any age. I think of Mr. Williams, who at 81 decided to join a local community class just to learn Spanish phrases. His children thought it was unnecessary, but he said, "I just want to keep my mind awake." Within months, he was greeting everyone with a cheerful "Hola," and you could see the pride on his face. Then there was Mrs. Green, who picked up an iPad for the first time at 79 and discovered digital painting. She told me she hadn't felt that excited since she was a teenager. Growth isn't about age, it's about curiosity. You don't need to learn a new language or become an artist unless you want to. What matters is asking questions, trying something different, or simply learning one new thing each week. Watch a video, read a short article, or explore a topic you've always wondered about. Each small act of curiosity keeps your mind sharp and your spirit alive. You are not finished. You are still writing your story, and the next chapter could be the most meaningful yet. My dear friends, everything we've talked about today leads to one simple but powerful truth. Life in our later years is not defined by age, but the choices we make each day. These traps we uncovered, skipping real meals, keeping the TV on for company, closing ourselves off from neighbors, or thinking growth has ended, are not destiny. They are habits. And habits can be changed. The beauty is that it doesn't take dramatic steps or large sacrifices. It begins with the smallest actions. Sitting down at the table with your food, opening the door to let in fresh air, smiling at a neighbor, choosing to dress for yourself in the morning, asking one curious question and seeking the answer. Each of these small acts is a declaration. I am still here, and my life still matters.